Have you ever found yourself feeling overwhelmed by the sheer number of tasks you must complete in a single day? We've all been there. The mounting pressure of to-dos, the ticking clock, the feeling that 24 hours just isn't enough. There was this one time when my to-do list was so long it felt like I was preparing to climb Mount Everest. Emails to reply to, meetings to attend, deadlines looming, and on top of all that, trying to keep up with my personal life. It was a struggle. I felt like I was running on a treadmill that was going too fast and I was just about to trip and fall. This constant race against time, this everyday struggle can leave us feeling drained, stressed, and even unproductive. It can cause our mood to plummet and our motivation to dwindle. Believe me, I know how daunting the daily grind can be. It's easy to feel like you're drowning in a sea of tasks. But what if I told you that it's all about perspective? This isn't just a catchy phrase, it's a reality that has the power to transform your life. Think about it. The way you perceive your daily tasks, your challenges, or even your dreams can dramatically affect your attitude and approach. Let me share a personal anecdote. There was a time when I was faced with what seemed like an insurmountable task. It was like staring at a mountain, feeling overwhelmed by its sheer size. But one day I decided to change my perspective. Instead of seeing it as a single gigantic task, I broke it down into smaller, more manageable steps. This shift in perspective transformed that looming mountain into a series of stepping stones. That's the power of perspective. It's not a magic wand that makes your tasks disappear, but it does reframe them into something less intimidating. Changing your perspective doesn't mean the tasks disappear, but it does mean they become less of a mountain to climb. Now, you might be wondering, how can I change my perspective? Well, you're in luck, because I'm about to share some proven strategies that might just do the trick. Let's start with breaking tasks down into smaller parts. Imagine you're standing at the foot of a mountain. The peak seems impossibly far away, right? But if you focus on just the next step and then the next, suddenly that mountain doesn't seem so daunting. Now let's apply this to a real-life situation. A few years back I was tasked with writing a book, a whole book. It felt like my own personal mountain. But when I started breaking it down, chapter by chapter, paragraph by paragraph, it suddenly became manageable. And guess what? I wrote that book one step at a time. Next up, focusing on one task at a time. In our fast-paced world, multitasking has become the norm. But here's the thing. Our brains aren't wired to handle multiple tasks at once. By focusing on one thing at a time, we can give it our full attention and do it well. I remember when I was juggling a full-time job, a side hustle, and a newborn at home. I was stretched too thin and everything suffered. It was only when I prioritized and focused on one thing at a time that I started to see real progress. Finally, celebrate your small victories. Each step you take towards your goal is a win in itself. When I first started my fitness journey, I couldn't even run a mile without huffing and puffing, but I didn't beat myself up. Instead, I celebrated every extra minute I could run, every extra pound I could lift. And lo and behold, I went from a couch potato to running a half marathon. Remember, it's not about doing everything at once, it's about making progress, one step at a time. No matter how small the steps may seem, they're all moving you closer to your goal. So keep stepping, keep progressing, and keep believing in yourself. So are you ready to change your perspective and conquer your everyday life? That's the question we're left with today. This is your call to action. It's time to apply the strategies we've discussed to your life. Remember, it's perfectly okay to feel overwhelmed. We all do. But what separates us is how we react to these feelings. You have the power to change your perspective. You have the power to approach your tasks differently. You have the power to redefine your everyday struggle. It all starts with you. Yes, it's challenging. Yes, it's daunting. But remember, even the longest journey begins with a single step. The power of perspective is yours to harness. Use it to transform your life. Use it to overcome your obstacles. Use it to turn your everyday struggle into an everyday triumph. Take a deep breath, change your perspective, and take that first step. You've got this.